Well, Dr. Paul, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. And let's get down to some of the real meaty questions of the campaign.
Okay.
Now, you have this group of granny warriors who are following you around. And now, this has been talked about here in South Carolina, I mean, very extensively. Apparently, these granny warriors have a monkey on their bus.
That makes me a little nervous.
You know, I mean, what's the purpose of the monkey? Do you
Well,
know?
we'll have to ask the granny warrior. But I know they get a lot of attention, and you know that's competition. And when I'm nearby, sometimes the monkey gets more attention than I get, so I have to be careful about all this.
So you got to decide if you need to take the monkey off your back.
Yeah, that's something like that.
Another question is that you have spent a lot of time running for president, and I mean, not trying to downgrade it, but I mean you're somewhere maybe 2 to 5% in the polls nationwide, and probably maybe not so great of a chance of winning. You might be able to. I mean, why are you doing all of this? Why are you working so hard? Why are you in South Carolina, Iowa, and New Hampshire, and pounding the pavement every day? I mean, what drives you? What drives you every day?
Well, I'm driven because I have a message that I think is very important, and also been encouraged by people to do this. You know, it wasn't me raising my hand, I'm going to do this. It was at a request by a lot of people. And and the response has been fantastic, you know, on the internet especially, and the fundraising is going very well, and the attention we're getting keeps growing. So we've been nothing more than encouraged. We haven't been discouraged.
Is there ever a day where you say, is this really worth it? I mean, do I really want to continue on doing this?
Well, there's always days when you get fatigued, you know, at the end of the day. Of course, we're at the end of the day today, but there's going to be a rally, and there'll be a lot of people there, and they'll be enthusiastic, so I'll probably get as much energy from them as they'll get from me, so it's a mutual deal.
Okay. Now, in almost all your interviews, you talk about getting America or getting the United States back on the gold standard. I'm not sure that everyone quite understands that. Can you explain what you mean by that, getting America the money back on the gold standard?
Well, I don't say it exactly in those terms, but I do talk about the Constitution a lot. And the Constitution still says that only gold and silver should be legal tender, and the Founding Fathers had gone through a period of time with runaway inflation with the continental dollar, and they thought paper money was terrible. And they said you could not emit bills of credit, which is paper money. Many countries over many centuries have destroyed their currencies, and it's very, very destructive. Whether you go back to Roman days or old Spanish days or the British pound, when monetary destruction comes, political chaos comes, and I don't like that. So inflation is a sneaky way to tax people. It's an unfair tax. It hurts the middle class and the poor. The wealthy get better. There's a transfer of wealth to the middle class to the wealthy. And this is why you see today a lot of people suffering and can't make their bills. At the same time, you see billionaires more so than ever before. And it has to do with the monetary system. It's a way of financing big government. So the gold standard is secondary to my idea of restraining the government and living within our means, and therefore you shouldn't have this vehicle where you can tax the people by just merely creating money out of thin air. And a gold standard, a commodity standard of money, is the answer to this, and it's amazing to me that so many people have forgotten, but it's also very impressive to me on how many people are responding very favorably to this message that have thought about it. And I predict even tonight, if I bring that up, there will be a lot of people in the audience that will understand it very clearly.
Now, America has a shortage of math and science teachers by all means. What would you do to recruit more college graduates with strong math skills and backgrounds into the teaching profession?
Well, I don't think it certainly is a federal government function to worry about who's teaching what. I think they should get out of the way, and what we should do, the most we could do, is certainly enhance education by giving tax credits to individuals that will study. But the market determines these things. If they usually don't have to worry about people going into computers. You know, people understand it, they make money, they enjoy it, they like it, and they don't even have to go to college to learn a lot of these things. So the market is very, very powerful, but the government's been involved in education and taking grants and directing this and say so many people will go to this and so many people go to that, and they distort all kinds of market, whether it's a medical market or the educational market. And generally about all they do is shoot up prices, and they misdirect their resources. So if we don't have enough math educators, then there is a problem there. But I would guess that there's no way the federal government could all of a sudden say, we will have more math teachers. It has to be dealt with more in the marketplace, probably with the government getting out of the way and making sure that people can get some of their money back if they go and get their education, get tax credit for the money they spend.
Now, for the people who don't know you out there, can you describe your views of the federal government? What should the federal government be doing? What should it not be doing? And what would you do if you were elected president?
Well, it's very clear in the Constitution. We should follow the Constitution. We take an oath of office, and Article 1, Section 8 is very explicit. There are 21 items there that we have the authority to deal with. The 9th and 10th Amendment was very clear. It was supposed to be, the powers and the rights were supposed to be left to the states and the people. And I believe in that. So probably, technically, 70 to 80% of what the federal government does is not authorized in the Constitution. The big question is not so much what would be ideal and what would be constitutional, it's how do we get from where we are to where we ought to be, and that's the bigger question. You have to have priorities, even like on the Federal Reserve. I don't advocate closing down the Federal Reserve. I would have a transition period, and you can't get rid of the IRS until you cut the spending and wean people off these programs. And we certainly, probably the easiest place to change things would be have a constitutional foreign policy where our foreign policy would be there to be friends in the world, trade with the world, but have a strong national defense and not be the policeman of the world. See, that wouldn't be difficult for a president to accomplish. But the other things have to come when the people endorse it through their representatives, and if they want to go and live within the means and within the law, then it can be done. And it's not that complicated. It's a matter of just getting a consensus.
And how long do you think that this would take in order to make the transition from where we are today to a more strict constructionalist view of the federal government?
It just depends on how determined the people are. If an individual like myself would win the presidency, that would be a big sign to all the politicians that there's a shift in the wind and they better straighten up because the American people have spoken. The members of Congress wouldn't have to be all put out and new people come in. They would all of a sudden move right over. And it could take years to do it. I mean, I talk to the young people, very attracted to the campaign. It takes a generation, to really make sure that they can be self-reliant. I'd let them get out of Social Security, but how are we going to take care of the elderly? You can't do it unless you cut foreign expenditures, change our foreign policy, bring our troops home so that we'd have the resources to take care of people without deficits and inflation. So if we don't do anything, it's the real tragedy is you end up with runaway inflation, which means the destruction of the dollar. And this very day, and continuously in the last several weeks, the dollar is going down sharply. And this means trouble for us because we have lived way beyond our means for so many years. And all of a sudden, people are waking up around the world. Hey, this dollar is not what it used to be. We went through a period like this in the 70s, and the dollar nearly was lost because we had to save the dollar by taking interest rates up to 21%. Now, once again, we went into this business, guns and butter, it didn't cost anything, worry about it tomorrow. We're paying for it now. There's an attack on the dollar, and that is so much worse than the difficulty in a transition period. So I have a transition period that could save us from the chaos that'll come, but if the chaos comes, you have political challenges that make it very difficult to shift gears. Then you have to do something suddenly, and that to me is what I think we should be addressing.
Now, just one more issue is that, of course, the issue of the Iraq War comes up. You differ from almost all the Republican candidates that are out there, that you want to bring the troops home. So if we follow your policy and bring the troops home, then what? What is going to happen in Iraq? What is going to happen to the whole Middle East? Where are we going to get our
Well, most importantly, what would happen here is we'd spend less money, Americans wouldn't be killed any longer, and we could, improve our financial situation. What happens in Iraq? probably depends on the Iraqis. It's their country. We've messed it up. They're in civil war. And if it got worse for a while, we'd have some moral responsibility for it. It was our fault because we went in there. We invaded that country. They didn't invade us. And it's a real mess. So it can't be done smoothly. In the 60s, they argue we can't leave Vietnam. 60,000 Americans died. Can't leave. There would be a domino effect, and the whole Southeast Asia would become communist. It didn't happen. But there was a leap upward of violence in that region at that time. But what happened afterwards? Then we started acting like what the Founding Fathers told us to do. Talk with these people, trade with them, try to get along with them. Now, the president of Vietnam comes over here, we trade over there, we invest in their country, and they have become westernized. So we have achieved in peace what we couldn't achieve. The French and the Americans fought the Vietnamese. 2 million Vietnamese were killed. We couldn't achieve in war what we have achieved in peace. So I say long term, that is what would happen. But the real tragedy is we've left it in a mess, and there's no easy answer. Fortunately, it's a wealthy country. They have resources, and it can be rebuilt, with their oil. I make the case that, American taxpayers are taxed to go over there and bomb and destroy their infrastructure. Then we're taxed again to rebuild their bridges. And then if we have to deal with our levees here and our bridges in this country, we don't have any money left. So my position is, yes, it's terrible to have to leave, but we better take care of ourselves. We better take care of our own levees, our own highways, and our own bridges, because we just are running out of money. And believe me, the American people are very receptive to this solution.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Paul.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.